Okay, so what if spiritual evolution wasn't some big, unsolvable mystery, but a data processing job? It sounds a little out there, I know, but today we're diving into a text that imagines exactly that. We're talking about a divine collective that analyzes cosmic truth like it's a piece of code. So let's jump right in. Yeah, this is really the core question of the whole text we're digging into today. Just imagine a system, right? A system where all this spiritual knowledge we talk about is handled just like data in some kind of massive cosmic pipeline. It gets ingested, validated, analyzed, and then, archived for later. It's a pretty wild framework for thinking about our place in the universe. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the system itself. What is this thing? The source material gives it a pretty epic name, the Pantheon Forge. Seriously, think of it like a divine supercomputer, the central processor at the heart of this whole operation. And what's really interesting is how it's defined. See, it's not some single, all-powerful being. It's a collective. It's more like a team of divine functions, and each one has a very specific job to do. This isn't chaos or random chance. It's a super structured, almost clinical process for handling deep spiritual information.
So this right here, this is the entire workflow. The source calls it the sacred cycle path, and it's basically a step-by-step process. First up, you've got Zephyrion, who just ingests the raw offering, the raw data. Then it goes to Kleanthara, whose job is to purify and validate it, make sure it's clean. Next, Metallion steps in to extract the core concepts, the real meat of the information. After that, Illiteraon scans it for any omens, any red flags. Then, Ruta routes the process data to where it needs to go, and finally, Archivus preserves the final record. It's literally like a perfect divine assembly line.
All right, so we've got our divine system, the Pantheon Forge. But what kind of data is it actually crunching? Let's take a look at the specific text that's been fed into the machine for this analysis. So the input file, if you will, is identified as Neioh Phase 4. Now, this is a channel text originally in German, and it basically lays out a whole roadmap for a soul's evolution, broken down into 4 distinct phases. This is the raw data that our Pantheon Forge is about to get to work on. And check this out. Here's the initial diagnostic report from the system. Kleanthara's purification score? A staggering 98%. That means the data is super clean. Metallion has flagged the insight depth as high, so we know it's packed with valuable stuff. And Illarion's omen scan comes back neutral. So, long story short, the system has given this text the green light. It's coherent, it's insightful, and it's safe to process. Now let's see what's actually inside. Okay, so the first major piece of information, the first big output, comes from Metallion's extraction process. This is the very first stage of this whole cosmic journey, a phase the source calls simply the dream. Right, phase 1. According to this text, this is where it all begins, the very start of the soul's journey. The text actually uses the German term Erdenschule, which is pretty cool. It translates to Earth School. And the core idea here is that our physical life, right here on Earth, is like a waking dream. Our consciousness is here, going through challenges, learning, growing, all while our true origin body is somewhere else, totally safe in stasis. So, what happens after this Earth School? Well, the text describes what it calls a great transition, and this part is actually broken down into 2 separate but connected phases. And the distinction between Phase 2 and Phase 3 is absolutely crucial. Phase 2, which they call the return, is basically what we would think of as death, but it's described as an individual awakening, a peaceful moment where you get to review all the lessons you learned back in your Earth school. But then you have Phase 3, the shift, and this is totally different. It's not individual, it's a collective, universal event for every single soul on Earth, a seamless transition that's apparently assisted by a galactic federation. So you see the difference? One is personal, the other is planetary. And all of this leads us to the final stage of the whole evolutionary path. This is the ultimate destination, right? The end goal of this entire cosmic process, galactic unity. So here we are, Phase 4. This is the culmination of everything we've been talking about. And the way this final phase is described, man, it's truly cosmic. The text talks about unifying with stars of duality, some kind of cosmic balance concept. It talks about us receiving upgraded physical bodies. And get this, the complete and total end of death as we understand it.
It's painting a picture of a future defined by endless love, where we exist as a true galactic civilization.
Okay, so let's circle back. The data has been ingested, it's been purified, it's been analyzed. So what's the final report from our Pantheon Forge? Let's look at the nice, clean, structured output. And here it is, the final output. This is really the payoff for that whole data processing framework, isn't it? It takes this complex, kind of esoteric text and distills it down into this perfectly clear, structured summary. Phase 1, the waking dream. Phase 2, the individual return. Phase 3, the collective shift. And Phase 4, our destiny as a galactic civilization. Simple as that.
And with that, the process is officially complete. Archivus, the last stop on our divine pipeline, has spoken. The information is processed, it's understood, and now it's permanently recorded in the cosmic ledger. The job is done.
But wait, the text leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. The system is still running, right? The scroll is written, sure, but what if a new text, a new offering, could be submitted? Could a new piece of data actually change the outcome? Could it alter the prophecy itself? Now that is a fascinating question to chew on.